So I'm very happy to welcome Yunus here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I cannot see you, but I think you can see me. Thank you, Arne, for those wonderful words. It was a delight to meet you, and also Suzanne. And I thank you for inviting me here to this project. It's a very interesting project that they have undertaken, and of course, with all of you. I would like to thank everybody who organized the event, and Marcus and also Elizabeth for responding to my emails. Thanks to them as well. All right, so I chose this topic because in ancient schools of philosophy, the bodily regimes were part of their way of doing philosophy. So after the Greeks and of course the Romans, there's a decline in the bodily regimes, and then there's of course a revival in later times. Now, just before I start with my presentation, I would like to talk about what I mean by bodily regimes. Well, obviously it's in the expression, the things that we do with the body. So what are some of the domains or fields? Those are sports, athletics, and theater, arts, and what else? Eroticism, sexuality, and dance, of course. So all the things that have to do with the body directly. And ancient Greeks had all of these already in place by the time, or around the time, the Greek schools of philosophy started in 6th century BC. So the bottom line is that Greek philosophers were already part of a culture that was rich in these bodily regimes, and many of these schools, including the Socratic school that today has come under criticism, especially since Nietzsche, they were also engaged in the Socratic school eroticism. That those who read philosophy would know that the whole thing about the homo erotica, both with Plato and Socrates, and most likely Plato, whom we don't today like that much because of his idealism, was more active in the bodily area than the moderns, or than I don't want to say than us, but they were very much active. Plato especially was for practicing homoerotic love. So having said that, I chose the Cynics because out of those schools, Cynics, out of the post-Socratic schools, the Cynics engaged in performative acts as they were doing philosophy. Most likely they were the only ones who engaged in such performative acts out of all the post-Socratic schools in a direct way. I mean, in the limited sense, it's all about performance. Socrates too, when he did philosophy in the Agora, he was putting up a show in a way, but relying on words more than maybe his acts, whereas the Cynics used gestures. So, in order to sort of present these ideas about performative philosophy, I chose 5 topics. You can see them right there on the wall. Ecstasis, aggression, transgression, eroticism, and metaphor. There could be others that they use, but I focused on these, so and I will talk about them. Unfortunately, we know very little about the Cynics. None of their writings survived. So we know about them through Diogenes Laertius, who lived in 2nd or 3rd century AD. So he reports on all these previous philosophers, and we know a lot about Cynics through him, his writings, and what the Cynics did, and what kinds of performances they put up, especially with Diogenes, who is not the founder of Cynicism, but is the most known Cynic from 4th century BC. So let's start with ecstasis. That's a Dionysian in Nietzsche's terminology.